A record crowd of nearly 86,000 in a national television audience saw the Cleveland Browns open the 1970 season against the Jets in the first of the NFL's Monday night games. For the Browns, it was to be a spectacular introduction to the American Football Conference. At first, the Browns dominated the game. Homer Jones' 94-yard return and the familiar combination of Bill Nelson to Gary Collins helped build a 14-point Cleveland lead. Then, Broadway Joe Namath, at his best under bright lights, turned the rout into a barn burner. Namath cut the lead to 3 points, and with 38 seconds left, had the Jets driving again. But linebacker Billy Andrews ended the suspense and the game. For the third time in their 25-year history, the Browns had entered a new league in dramatic fashion.
From the quarterback, with Leroy Kelly, 44, and Bo Scott, 35, set behind him. Gary Collins wide to the right, Nelson back to throw. Goes over the middle to his tight end, Milt Morin, number 89. And they go to Kelly up the middle, and on the left side blocking of John Damari. He found some daylight, and he takes the ball to the New York Jet 35-yard line before Verlin Biggs makes the tackle for the Jets. Third down and a long 3, and they go to Kelly. And he is close to the first down. To New York's 31. Nelson to throw. Swings it out to Bo Scott, the fullback. A wall of blockers in front of him. He is at the 10-yard line before he is belted out of bounds. Nelson to throw. Throws for Collins. Touchdown. And Collins beat Early Thomas for the touchdown. And the Cleveland Browns go 55 yards in 9 plays to lead it.
Hope we can get an opportunity to see a down and in, but you see Leroy Kelly, number 44, going to take Grantham with him. It's really a very simple down and in pattern. Collins coming in from the outside. Actually, there's just a little confusion in the defensive backs. It looked
for Cleveland. Nelson to throw. Looks for Collins. Pass is incomplete, a penalty flag down. Hudson was there, and Tannen was there, and Collins was there. Nelson to throw, looks for Hooker, goes for Milt Morin, the tight end. And he is dragged down by Jim Hudson at the 20-yard line for another Cleveland first down. Bill gives it to Bo Scott. A super block by Hoagland, the center, out in the flat. Bo Scott. Touchdown.
In talking to Nelson before the game, this is actually an audible. He sets in a Brown formation, or the fullback right behind the center. And he did see a gap defense. He had a play called to the strong side.
5 to play. Nelson to throw. Milt Morin wide open. And Morin goes to the 45-yard line, a 25-yard gain. Jim Hudson made the tackle. Namath will throw it. He goes deep for Sauer. It's intercepted by Sumner. Sumner brings it back, intercepting at the 9-yard line, and he brings it all the way back to the 40. He'll throw it again. Intercepted by Jim Houston, the middle linebacker. And he takes it down to the New York 27 yards and 24. As Jim Turner kicks off, it goes to Homer Jones. Homer takes it at the 6-yard line for the Cleveland Browns, and he breaks into the open. Now it's a foot race. He'll go all the way. And there are no penalty flags on the field. Homer Jones goes 94 yards to start the second half.
Let's take a look at it. Here's Homer Jones from Pittsburgh, Texas, number 85. Great speed. Actually, he just hit right through a hole. I don't see a lot of outstanding blocking, but there must have been some someplace. Ain't nobody going to catch Homer now. Homer is heading for that goal line.
Watching NFL Monday Night Football. Timeout. The score. The Cleveland Browns 21, the New York Jets 7. Bill Nelson. Fair Hooker to the left. Gary Collins to the right. The pass to Hooker. He's missed by Earlie Thomas. He is finally brought down by Gus Holloman inside the 35. Call it the 34-yard line. That's 13 yards and a first down. Penalty flag. Somebody moved too quick in the line of scrimmage. Leroy Kelly moving to the right side is inside. He's down to about the 22-yard line. I think that's going to be a call against the Jets' defensive front four. Brilliant rookie from Purdue. Don Cockroft will try the field goal from the 27-yard line. It is up, and it is good. 27-yard field goal. NFL Monday Night Football continues from Municipal Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio. Snell inside fumbles.
Cleveland's ball. Once again, the key mistake. Listen to this. In total offense, New York has gained 330 yards, Cleveland 158. New York has beset itself with 2 interceptions with that critical exchange on a fumble.
Nelson will throw it. He fires. Is it good? Yes, it is caught. Up at the 20-yard line, and that will be a first down. Bill Nelson gets his pass away to Moore, and he's got it. Holloman and Hicks make the tackle, but it's a first down for the Cleveland Browns. A big play. He is a fine blocker. Homer Jones is the wide receiver to the left side. Berlin Biggs may have jumped too quick. The ball goes to Bo Scott. Look out! Scott is down to the 20-yard line, inside the 20 to the 19. That penalty flag may have been thrown against the Jets. 21. Before more than 85,000 people. Snido almost gets Namath. The pass is intercepted. It is intercepted by number 52, Billy Andrews. Touchdown, and no penalty flags on the field. It matters little as Wayne Stewart fell to the ground and the gun cracked to end the game. And the final score, the Cleveland Browns 31, the New York Jets 21. We'll be back in a moment here at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio.
6 days later in San Francisco, the Browns' offense exploded against the championship-bound 49ers. Leroy Kelly ran for 2 touchdowns, and Bill Nelson passed for over 300 yards. He launched 2 beautifully thrown bombs, both pulled in by Fair Hooker. The result was that for the second straight week, the Browns scored 31 points. But the complexion of the game and the entire season changed quickly when Nelson was hurt. The Browns lost the game and their quarterback.
The rumblings heard in the vicinity of Kezar Stadium last week were not caused by an earthquake, but rather they were caused by a vastly improved San Francisco team that left the Cleveland Browns with the impression they'd been involved in an upheaval. The 49er offense, led by number 12 quarterback John Brody and number 40 Ken Willard, was superb. But the Browns were not hapless victims Number 44, Leroy Kelly, was as dangerous as always. Kelly's running set up a touchdown by number 35, Bo Scott, which tied the game at 7. The 49ers came right back to take the lead on a quarterback's nightmare. An interception and touchdown by number 32, Mel Phillips. Then it was John Brody again on a beautiful pass to number 24, Jimmy Thomas, that increased the San Francisco lead to 21-10. However, the seesaw began to tilt the other way as quarterback Bill Nelson, number 16, arched a bomb to wide receiver Fair Hooker, number 43. And after watching this second-year man perform, who could blame the Cleveland fans if some of them are saying, Paul who? But no one was asking Leroy who, as number 44 burst through right guard for the touchdown that put Cleveland ahead 24-21. A year ago at this time, the 49ers might have rolled over and played dead. Instead, Ken Willard rolled over and the 49ers were on top again. The game began to take on the aspects of a ping-pong match as Cleveland stormed back. Nelson hit Fair Hooker on this play, but was himself injured and forced to leave the game. Reserve quarterback Don Galt, number 11, came in, handed off nicely to Kelly, and with time fleeting, the Browns led again. But this may be the year San Francisco doesn't fold under that type of pressure. John Brody proved it as he put one right on the money, and Jimmy Thomas began the post-game victory celebration as the 49ers outlasted the Browns 34-31. Future opponents should beware the rumblings in San Francisco.
With Nelson out, the man on the spot was Don Galt, a rookie from the taxi squad. Blanton Collier chose him over number 1 draft choice Mike Phipps because of time lost with the college All-Stars. But against Pittsburgh, another rookie made an immediate impression. Number 80, Joe Jones, inserted on passing situations, harassed Terry Bradshaw all evening. Bradshaw was sacked 7 times and caught for a safety. Incredibly, the 2 points were all Cleveland could manage in the first half. The game was a nightmare for Don Galt. So in the second half, Mike Phipps made his long-awaited debut. He completed 3 straight, the last for 53 yards to Reese Morrison. In his first series as a pro, Mike Phipps had led the Browns to a touchdown. 3 plays later, Erich Barnes iced the victory by intercepting a pass and striding 38 yards. Roll number 40, it was the 7th touchdown interception, an NFL record.
In Cleveland, the fans weren't thrilled at the prospect of facing the Steelers without their star quarterback Bill Nelson, who is out with a knee injury. In his place was number 11, Don Galt, a widely unheralded rookie from Hofstra University. Galt's opponent was Pittsburgh's widely heralded rookie Terry Bradshaw, whose first 2 games as a pro had provided a rude awakening. But Bradshaw was due to blossom at any moment, and Cleveland fans hoped that it wouldn't be against them. The Steelers struck quickly as number 47, Melvin Blount, took the opening kickoff 91 yards to the Browns' 5. But Bradshaw couldn't take it in from there, and the field goal attempt went amiss. In fact, every time Bradshaw got the Steelers within striking distance, something seemed to go amiss. And midway through his third game as a pro, Terry Bradshaw had yet to pass or run for a touchdown. Amazingly enough, for the third consecutive game, number 12 was dropped in his own end zone for a safety. Even the good plays seemed to go awry. On this one, number 25, Ron Shanklin, twisted and turned and leapt his way clear. And then, thinking he'd made it look too easy, he headed for the most crowded spot on the field. But the bad luck that had been plaguing Terry Bradshaw was about to be changed. Finding his receivers covered, Bradshaw made a mad dash for the end zone, and on the way, nothing bad happened. The Steelers led 7-2. The jinx had been broken, or had it? While the Steelers had taken the lead, Don Galt had been throwing one completion in 16 attempts. So the Browns went to their bench and came up with a youthful-looking rookie from Purdue University, a quarterback named Mike Phipps. Phipps wasted no time in hitting number 26, Reese Morrison, for 53 yards and a touchdown. Then some of the boys got together at ringside for a short debate about that particular play. Moments after order returned, the Bradshaw jinx hit again, and number 40, Erich Barnes, sewed up the victory for the Browns, 15-7. And if anyone has an extra good luck charm lying around, they should know where to send it by now.
The next week, in one of the dramatic moments in sport, Paul Brown returned to Cleveland after 8 years. The game was the official beginning of intrastate warfare. Despite hard hitting by the Browns, Cincinnati took a 10-0 lead. Then Big Walter Johnson started Cleveland off by steamrolling Virgil Carter in the end zone for 2 points. 6 plays later, Bill Nelson, back in the lineup again, hit Kelly in the corner, and the Browns were within 1. Disaster soon struck, and the Browns fell further behind. But the Bandage Brigade of the Browns would not give up. Kelly's great run and Nelson's pass to Milt Morn rallied the Browns and gave Coach Collier a throat-grabbing 30-27 victory over the Bengals.
The scene, Cleveland's cavernous municipal stadium. The setting, one of the dramatic moments in sports. This is the day Paul Brown returns to the city where he founded a football dynasty. The 62-year-old coaching wizard faces his successor at Cleveland, 64-year-old Blanton Collier. It's the classic battle between teacher and student. In 1945, when Brown founded the team he named for himself, Collier was his assistant. In 1962, when Brown was fired, Collier took over. Paul Brown hasn't set foot inside Cleveland Stadium since. As might be expected, Brown's Bengals are no ordinary expansion team. They are the most successful new team for this stage of their development. Professor Paul has developed solid stars like number 30, running back Jess Phillips. And last year, his rookie quarterback, Greg Cook, was the talk of the league. Cincinnati was dealt a serious blow, however, when Cook was lost for the season with an arm injury. In this important game, Brown has decided to try Virgil Carter at quarterback. Carter looked good in a relief role last week, and Brown feels he has the intangibles needed to lead a pro team. Both Leroy Kelly and Bo Scott joined Bill Nelson on the Browns bench last week, so the usually explosive Cleveland attack sputtered against Pittsburgh. Nelson's injury was by far the biggest worry. The 8-year veteran has less publicized but far more serious knee problems than Joe Namath. Nelson has no cartilage left. Rookie Mike Phipps made his debut last week and made it spectacularly by coming off the bench and winning the game. He'll be ready if Nelson's knees falter today. But it's doubtful they will, for this is the game the Browns, Bengals, and Ohio fans have been waiting for. It's the return of the master and the beginning of a great new rivalry. A lot of people have waited for this one for a long, long time. I'm Andy Musser. Carter tried his ground game, led by Jess Phillips, but he found he could not run on the Cleveland defense. This set the pattern for the rest of the game. The ball, they wasted no time in going to their major weapon, Leroy Kelly, on a screen that should have picked up good yardage. But Kelly, untouched, dropped the ball. Defense kept them there. After Phillips was stopped cold, Carter went back to pass and was swarmed under by Johnson for a safety. The Cleveland defense had not only asserted itself for the first time, they had outdone their offensive team by scoring. A repeat of this crucial play shows how the 275-pound Johnson looked to Carter as he came roaring in at full speed. The best Carter could do was duck to avoid being trampled. Cleveland had its first score of the game, and the Cleveland crowd finally had something to cheer about. Bruisingly effective. If things were to change, now was the time. Cincinnati's free kick was taken by rookie Ken Brown, who was activated from the taxi squad the day before. He wasn't the deep back on the play, but he made the most of his unexpected opportunity. Brown's 32-yard return gave the Cleveland offense excellent field position on their opponent's 34-yard line as the first quarter ended. On the first play of the second period, Nelson split the seams of the Bengals' air defense with a strike to Milt Morin. The 240-pound tight end fought for a few extra yards. Then from the 9, Nelson went for the score. But number 13, Ken Riley, interfered with Fair Hooker, and Cleveland had a first down at the goal line. Typically of a Cleveland team, the Browns had taken advantage of their opponent's breaks to change the complexion of the game. From the 1-yard line, Nelson dropped back and passed to Kelly, who stepped in for Cleveland's first touchdown of the day. The Browns had pulled to within 1 point of Cincinnati, and the crowd of over 80,000, the 15th straight for Cleveland, went wild. They dug in and did it so well that Cincinnati gained only 54 yards on the ground all day. The Bengals' two fine backs, Robinson and Phillips, got nowhere against Gregory, Johnson, and teammates Ron Snido, Jerry Shirk, Jim Houston, Billy Andrews, and Dale Lindsey. Cincinnati had to punt, but later Barry would get another chance. Bill Nelson stuck the Bengals with the same play. The fake to Kelly sucked in the defense, and this time Scott took the swing pass and glided 19 yards with it. Nelson returned to Kelly on 2 successive plays, and the All-Pro setback picked up gains of 8 and 14 yards to bring the ball to the Bengal 32-yard line. It looked like Cleveland a half. The Browns came right back. Nelson fired to Collins over the middle for 16 yards despite defensive interference on the pass. Then, as he has countless times before, Leroy Kelly came up with the big play. It was on the short screen designed to get Kelly loose behind a phalanx of blockers. The play worked perfectly, and when Kelly ran out of blockers, he supplied his own magic. Kelly's tremendous run had covered 55 yards. Nelson on a play action to Kelly made it look easy as he hit Milt Morin all alone for the score that brought the Browns back to within 1 point of the Bengals at the end of the half. Cincinnati 17, Cleveland 16. To his other receiver, Fair Hooker, and made the crucial third down play work. This is the Browns' greatest asset. When they bog down, they are always somehow able to convert key third down plays. Then one of the important plays of the game occurred. Kelly was stopped and fumbled. But Kelly's teammate, tackle Dick Shaprath, scooped up the loose ball and was chased 30 yards to the Bengal 32. This break work on the young Bengals secondary. He split Collins wide right, and Collins beat number 31, Fletcher Smith, off the line and to the ball on a quick down-and-out pattern to the Bengals 15 as the quarter ended. In a game of breaks, chalk up another one for Collier and Nelson. His pass here was deflected but fell right into Bo Scott's hands, and Scott rumbled to the 2 before a shot to the head felled him. First and goal to go, and no one stops Leroy Kelly with 4 downs from the 2. On first, he made it to the 1 before good pursuit knocked him out. And on the 14th play of this, a typical ball control Cleveland Browns drive, Kelly swept into the end zone behind his efficient line. The last quarter had just begun, and Cleveland too had just begun to roll, as they led for the first time 23-20. The Browns-Bengals game will be one of the truly emotional series in pro football history, and their first meeting was living up to its notices. After an exchange of punts, the game's biggest play occurred. Virgil Carter gambled with a pass on 1st and 10 from the 20, and it failed. The interceptor? None other than the old man, number 40, Erich Barnes, a man who gave Paul Brown similar headaches when Barnes was with the Giants and Brown with the Browns. On an isolated replay, watch Virgil Carter as he unloads, sees his unfortunate fate, and gamely goes after Barnes. And watch the block thrown on number 67 Wilson by number 52 Andrews to try to spring Barnes into the end zone. He didn't make it. Bo Scott almost did. Scott rumbled 5 yards to the 1-inch line, as you can vividly see. Scott did the honors on this, the insurance touchdown. With 7 minutes left, the Browns led by 10, 30-20. Nelson. When Nelson had to convert a 3rd and 8 to keep it going, he went to Mr. Clutch, Gary Collins, and got it. Thus, the Browns were able to run down the clock until they had to give up the ball with just seconds left. Again, the pupil had learned well. He called for an intentional delay on the punt, so when the Bengals finally got it, they had only 1 play left. Carter never did get it off. The drama was over. Cleveland's 30-27 victory was sweet revenge. Revenge for a city, revenge for a team, and revenge for a man, Blanton Collier. Collier deserves much of the credit for his well-organized, efficient team that always seems to play well enough to win.
Coach Joe Schmidt brought his Lions to Cleveland and immediately began worrying about their health. After 3 robust wins, the Lions had fallen ill against Washington, and now they would have to recover in the hostile environment of Cleveland's Municipal Stadium. The Lions began the game as if they were ready to rest in peace. Number 16, Bill Nelson, has made a career out of killing his opponents with their own mistakes. Gary Collins, number 86, has made a career out of beating defensive backs to the post position. Cleveland had a quick advantage, and the next time they touched the ball, their yardage man was turned loose. Number 44, Leroy Kelly, blasted over the groping Lion defense, and Cleveland could sense the kill. Walton mastered the Cleveland secondary with 2 leaping touchdown receptions. And in an impressive 41-24 victory, the Lions looked as if they had never felt better. While a decisive victory is excellent medicine, there are no foolproof cures in the NFL. But by game's end, jubilant Joe Schmidt and his Lions were definitely alive and well and looking forward to Minnesota.
Under the blue skies of Miami, the Browns met the Dolphins, who had won 4 straight and had turned a vacation resort into a football town. But in the sauna bath known as the Orange Bowl, the Browns played an almost perfect football game. Despite his knees, Bill Nelson dissected Miami's zone so thoroughly he wound up completing 20 of 26 passes. The ball-hawking Browns gave one of their all-time great defensive performances. They intercepted 3 Miami passes, 1 a 56-yard touchdown by Dale Lindsey, and they held Bob Greasy to just 41 yards passing. Paul Warfield was shut off. The Dolphins were shut out, 28-0.
Under a dazzling Miami sky, the Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns contended not only with each other, but with the brutal temperatures, cooking up to 100 degrees on the artificial surface in the Orange Bowl. For the Miamians, their moment in the sun came early, as this Greasy to Warfield scrambled pass and catch was all the offense the Dolphins could deliver. Miami was able to penetrate Cleveland territory only twice. Interceptions such as this one by Walt Sumner kept the Browns breathing hotly near their goal. Erich Barnes locked onto this Bob Greasy pass as if it really was a greased pig, not just a pigskin. Bill Nelson completed 23 of 29 passes, mastering the Miami zone and shredding the pressure-cooked Dolphin defense. Linebacker Dale Lindsey romped over the red-hot rug with this interception, 56 yards for the game-breaking score. On a day that Don Shula said conditioning would make the difference, Miami suffered the first shutout in 3 years as the Browns devoured the Dolphins 28-0.
just when the season looked brightest, everything came apart. Incredibly, Cleveland lost the next 3 games. First, against San Diego, they had victory virtually stolen away by the Chargers. The next Sunday in Oakland, the Browns played one of the most exciting games of the year. Bo Scott made a run that will rank as one of the greatest in Cleveland history. Scott's stunning 63-yard touchdown capped a comeback that put the Browns ahead 20-13. Ironically, Cleveland's downfall began when the defense knocked Daryl LaMonica out of the game. The Browns' lead seemed to be safe, but a grizzled antique named Blanda entered the game and led the Raiders to a tying touchdown with only 90 seconds left. The tie would have kept Cleveland in first place, but the team was unwilling to settle for a stalemate and tried for field goal position. The strategy was courageous, but it backfired. With 7 seconds to go, the 43-year-old miracle worker kicked a 52-yard field goal. It was the cruelest blow of the year for the Browns. Next was a rematch with the Bengals in Cincinnati. Collier decided to rest Bill Nelson, who was having trouble maneuvering on his bad knees. So Mike Phipps made his first start as a pro. On the game's first series, Phipps led the Browns to a score. It was to be the only touchdown of the day for Cleveland. Cincinnati adjusted their defense, scored twice, and handed the Browns their 3rd straight loss.
In Cincinnati, another of pro football's great new rivalries was preparing to step into its 2nd stage of development. At quarterback for the Bengals was number 11 young Virgil Carter, a former Chicago Bear whose career has been almost as topsy-turvy as some of the things which have happened to the Bengals lately. In his first pro start, number 15 rookie Mike Phipps led the Browns to a touchdown the first time they had the ball. Number 89, Milt Moran's catch set up a touchdown sweep by number 44, Leroy Kelly, and the Browns seemed on their way to breaking their rare 2-game losing streak. The second time the Browns had the ball, Phipps found himself faced with a 3rd and 22 situation from his own 7, but he again located Milt Moran, and everything seemed possible for Cleveland. Moran's great play was Cleveland's last.
The following week in Cleveland, the Browns bounced back. Joe Jones made his first start and was turned loose on the Oilers. Bill Nelson returned to action with 3 touchdown passes, 2 to Chip Glass. The Browns stayed on top of their division 28-14.
In Cleveland, the Browns were determined to break a 3-game losing streak, their longest ever. To do it, they would have to defeat a team they had never played before, the Houston Oilers, led by a quarterback they had played many times but never beaten, number 12, Charlie Johnson. Last week's Johnson's key to victory was number 34, an unpublicized rookie running back from Wisconsin named Joe Dawkins. Dawkins carried 22 times for a surprising 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Cleveland's newest nemesis proved only human after all, and it cost the Oilers another touchdown. Jim Houston's recovery temporarily saved the Browns. At times, it seemed the Oilers were trying too hard for an upset. Alvin Reed, number 89, proved that it's not always a good idea to try too hard for that 1 extra yard. Medical marvel Charlie Johnson again proved that it's possible to play pro football with a broken collarbone clamped in a steel vise. But for the first time in 8 years, Johnson could not beat his old cousins, the Browns. For the first time in a month of Sundays, the Browns had enough big plays to win. Leroy Kelly swept to 1 score and became one of the select few ever to rush for over 5,000 yards in a career. Bill Nelson passed to his other running back, Bo Scott, for another Cleveland score. Number 16, Bill Nelson, appreciated all the help he could get, and he got some help which bordered on magic from a 240-pound second-year tight end from Florida State named Charles Chip Glass, number 83. Glass not only showed he can score in a crowd, but he also showed how to beat the blitz and turn a short pass into a long touchdown. But for the heroics of Charles Chip Glass, the Oilers might be only 1/2 game behind Cleveland, who would be tied for first with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. But Chip Glass and the Browns prevailed, and Cleveland was again at 500 and in sole possession of first place in the AFC's mixed-up Central Division, 1 game ahead of Cincinnati and Pittsburgh.
The Browns played their worst game of 1970 on a dark, rain-soaked day in Pittsburgh. With first place at stake, Blanton Collier saw his team completely outplayed by the Steelers. The Browns were held without a touchdown for one of the few times in their history. A race that was supposed to be won in a breeze was now locked in a 3-way tie.
5,000-yard club to 0 yards rushing. Pittsburgh's defensemen so bottled up the Browns that Cleveland's only points were 3 Don Cockcroft field goals. The Cleveland defense also had its moment of mayhem, and on this play put Henready out of the game.
On Monday evening, December 7th, Cleveland paid its first visit to Houston's Pleasure Palace, the Astrodome. The game was decided just before the half with a goal line stand from the Browns' 1-yard line. Amidst the howling of Houston fans, Cleveland took over at its goal. With a double blitz coming, Nelson called an audible. The clutch call got the Browns out of the well and ignited a spark. With less than a minute left in the half, Nelson worked the time drill to perfection. Disdaining the huddle, he drove the Browns to the Oiler 1-yard line. With 8 seconds left in the half, Cleveland had no timeouts remaining. There was time for one last play. Nelson calmly hit Collins in the end zone. The Browns had raced 99 yards and beaten the clock. In the second half, a nationwide TV audience saw the Browns of old as Kelly and Scott ripped the Oiler defense to shreds. Bo Scott ran for more than 80 yards, and Kelly went over the century mark for the 22nd time in his career, a record among active players. Cleveland's 21-10 triumph was a tribute from the team to Blanton Collier, and as the Browns left the field victorious, 2 retiring coaches said their final farewells. Five days later, it was all over for the Browns. In the rain and mud of Municipal Stadium, the team played well against Dallas, but they lost a game they had to win. Cleveland scored first when it got 2 points, their only 2 points, by tackling Bob Hayes in the end zone. Despite the rain, Nelson passed brilliantly, but neither team could score a touchdown. A key play occurred when on 4th and 1 on their own 11, Bo Scott couldn't turn the corner and was stopped short of a first down. Dallas's Mike Clark earlier had missed 2 field goals from short range, and Cleveland's Don Cockroft soon shared his misfortune. But the real heartbreaker occurred when Collins, open over the middle, was hit on his injured ribs and coughed up the ball. With it went the ball game. It was a tough loss to take, for Cleveland had dominated the dark day. But the Browns had simply run out of tomorrows in quest of a 3rd straight division title.
In Cleveland, both the Cowboys and Browns faced the fact that a loss meant almost certain elimination for a playoff berth. A rain-muddied field made almost routine plays hazardous. The quagmire induced both teams to engage in a soggy theater of the absurd. The slippery ball made catches by both receiver and defender almost impossible, and once gave number 34 Mike Howell a chance to do his imitation of a waterlogged whippoorwill in flight. To end his act, Howell exited stage left with the latest dance step, the combination secondary stomp and goose step. With it all, Cleveland took an early 2-0 lead when Bob Hayes misplayed a punt, then compounded his misfortune by being trapped in the end zone for a safety. For the 2nd straight game, the Cowboys defense, led by their all-pro tackle Bob Lilly, number 74, did not allow a point. Although double, triple, and even quadruple teamed, Lilly usually managed to get a piece of Cleveland quarterback Bill Nelson. Though Cleveland owned all the statistics, Dallas dominated them when a big play was really needed. At times, Bill Nelson led Dallas a merry chase. He was superb in the goo and passed for over 300 yards. But once in sight of the Dallas goal, Cleveland seemed to come apart. Once, with a 4th and 1 at the Cowboy 11, the Browns disdained 3 points and came away with nothing. Another time, Cleveland receiver Gary Collins interfered with cornerback Herb Adderley, and a penalty denied the Browns a score. But the biggest play of the game occurred in the 4th quarter when Nelson's connection with Collins was spoiled by a fumble that was alertly recovered by Chuck Howley in the Cowboys' end zone. Dallas combined their luck with 2 Mike Clark field goals and defeated Cleveland 6-2. For the Browns, the final seconds told the probable end of a long, disappointing season.
The team played Denver in the season's final game. Nothing was at stake but pride as they soundly beat the Broncos. Blanton Coutier's coaching career had ended in victory.
Historically, the Cleveland Browns have always been a team that loved to run. Inside or outside, Marion Motley, Jim Brown, and now Leroy Kelly, number 44, could crumble the most carefully conceived defense. But 1970 has been a major disappointment for Cleveland. And in Denver against the Broncos, the Browns again saw their famous sweep swept up by the AFC's second leading defense against the run. Problems in execution have also plagued Cleveland, but this fumble recovery, ruled down at the 1-yard line, helped turn the close game in the Browns' favor. Quarterback Bill Nelson found success through the air, as most teams do against Denver, and tight end Milton Morin had Cleveland knocking on the doorstep midway through the second quarter. Bo Scott, number 35, chimed in from the 1, and Cleveland led 10-6 at the half. The Browns broke the game open in the 3rd quarter. With medium-range passes, Nelson and the Browns strode downfield to their second touchdown, a 43-yard pass to Homer Jones. Two plays later, the Browns had the ball again, following an interception by Erich Barnes. Nelson took just one play to convert the turnover as he passed a hit to Bo Scott. '70 has been agonizing for Denver also. Unable to decide on a starting quarterback, the job has been inherited by Alan Pastrana, number 12. The youngster from Maryland did complete 10 passes for over 100 yards, but his inexperience found a home in the Browns secondary as Dale Lindsey, number 51, made 1 of 3 interceptions. Although Denver was a better team than last year, they wound up with the same record, 5-8-1. The Browns were not as good as last year, but they were good enough to slide by Denver 27-13 and even their mark at 7-7.
In 1970, Cleveland stretched its streak to 17 straight home crowds over 80,000. But it just wasn't a Browns year. Key injuries hurt the most, especially on offense, where 3/4 of the starting backfield was benched with injuries. Leroy Kelly suffered with sprains of both ankles. He injured the first early in the season and missed 1 game. 2 weeks later, he sprained the other ankle and missed 2 more games. Kelly never did regain top form. Still, he earned a spot as the 10th best runner in NFL history. and there were moments when he was typically Leroy Kelly. The touchdown tandem of Bill Nelson to Gary Collins was hampered all year. Though he painfully played with broken ribs, the clutch catch by Collins was a sight still seen in 1970. For Bill Nelson, more than anyone, it was a season of agony. His knee problems began as a Steeler when the quarterback underwent 2 of his 3 operations. This year, Nelson was never the same after his injury in San Francisco. His knees sometimes buckled and he often threw off balance. To ignore the pain required a courage beyond most men. Mike Phipps, who was to be the quarterback of the future, may become the man of the moment in 1971. But Bill Nelson will return to offer a challenge. At 6'3", 210 pounds, the heir apparent from Purdue has the size and strength to take a lick and come back for more. Mike Phipps, with his talent, intelligence, and poise in the path of danger, will be a Cleveland Brown for a long, long time. The man with the unlikely name of Fair Hooker will be depended upon even more in 71. With his great speed and many moves, Hooker was a huge help in his first year as a starter. Few teams have tight ends the caliber of Milt Morin and Chip Glass, number 83. Between them, they took turns at being the best at their position the Browns have ever had. The twin tight ends combined for 52 receptions and nearly 1,000 yards. Chip Glass had the highest average among all Cleveland receivers, while Milt Morin, number 89, continued his happy habit of bowling over opponents for every extra inch he could get. With Kelly hurt, Reese Morrison continued to show the grit that makes him one of the best utility men in the pro game. But no one in Cleveland had more reason to smile than Bo Scott. In his first full season as a regular, he was chosen most valuable player on the club. Big Bo proved the perfect running mate to Leroy Kelly and appears to be another in the long line of great Cleveland running backs. One of the year's heartwarming stories was the return of Ben Davis after 2 seasons with a knee injury. Number 28 once intercepted passes in 7 straight games. Hopefully the long road back is over for Ben Davis. But the big story for Cleveland was the emergence of a defensive line that became a major menace for NFL quarterbacks. Season's 6-year veteran Walter Johnson, number 71, is the kingpin of Cleveland's fledgling front four. At 275 pounds, he looms as a raging roadblock for enemy runners. At the other tackle was number 72, rookie Jerry Shirk. The Browns took one look in training camp, then handed the job to the wrestling champion from Oklahoma State. In the season's opener, the rookie was tested time after time by the New York Jets. The strategy failed as Shirk's size and strength overcame his inexperience. After that, the youngest player on the team improved with each game. Young Jack Gregory, a favorite with the fans, is one of the fine young defensive stars of the NFL. At 6'5½", 250 pounds, he plays the pass and run equally well. But the best thing about Gregory is he's going to be even better. '70 saw the beginning of a legend. Number 80, Joe Jones, the second rookie on the line, may become Cleveland's next folk hero. With contagious exuberance, Jones frolics on the field like a kid in a sandbox. He is clocked at 4.6 for 40 yards, which is running back speed. Joe Jones is the fastest lineman ever to wear a Browns uniform. His nickname is Turkey because he comes off the line wild, arms flailing and clawing at the passer or the ball. And like the Deacon, he gives the helmet slap, then simply blows by his blocker. Opponents soon began to double-team the 6'6" rookie from Tennessee State, but it didn't make any difference to Jones. Joe Jones may be the most exciting thing to happen in Cleveland in a long, long while. The Browns lost to 4 playoff teams by a total of only 14 points, but the past is beyond repair, and next year Cleveland crowds will witness a new era. Nick Scourge succeeds Collier as head coach, and he takes control of a young team with a bright football future. The Browns, winners for so long, will continue their great tradition. And the decade of the '70s will be a new era for the Cleveland Browns.